When Gauri Prabhu was mentioning that the demon is not simply someone outside of ourselves, it reminded me, that was a good point, that yes, the divine and demoniac both exist within us. There's a constant battle going on. It is said that in Satya Yuga, the divine people and the demoniac people resided in different planets. In the Treta Yuga, the divine and the demoniac people resided on the same planet but in different countries, like Ram and Ravana. And then in Dwapar Yuga, the divine and the demoniac stayed in the same country but in different places, like the Pandavas and the Kauravas stayed in Indraprastha and Hastinapur. But in Kali Yuga, the divine and the demoniac stay within the same heart. So we've all got experience that sometimes we have the divine part of us that says, let's chant, it's so nice. Let's go to the temple. And then sometimes the demonic side of us says something else. And it persuades us to do something that is not good for our spiritual life. So this tug of war goes on. So we have to feed the divine and starve the demoniac within us. And then gradually we will see our divine nature coming to the surface. This 17th chapter is called the Divisions of Faith. Arjuna wants to know more about how one can understand this world in terms of classifications according to the modes of material nature. And when he speaks about worship that is not sublime, that is not transcendental, Krishna says that the faith that is required for worship also comes out of association with the three modes of nature. So a person in the mode of goodness may worship the demigods, the one in the mode of passion may worship the demons, a person in the mode of ignorance may worship ghosts and spirits and so on. And then Krishna goes on to describe how the three modes of nature can be used to analyze different types of things in our experience. For example, food. Food can be in the mode of goodness, mode of passion, or the mode of ignorance. Food that is wholesome, juicy, nourishing, lengthens our lifespan, is good for health, is in the mode of goodness. All pure vegetarian foods. Foods in the mode of passion are those that are very spicy, that are pungent, very dry, burning, salty. I remember when I first became a temple president in one temple, Chowpatty, this was quite a few years ago, I read this verse and I said we should stop salt because Krishna says your salt is, in the mode of passion. And then I stopped salt in the prasadam. And for a day everyone was tolerating it. They were somehow able to bear it. The next day I had a rebellion on my hands. And then very hastily I had to reintroduce salt in the diet. So yes, we sometimes may get carried away, but the principles are there. That too much salt, too much chili and spices and having things very pungent and so on is rajasic, in the mode of passion. And mode of ignorance are foods that are stale, that are obviously products of violence like non-vegetarian foods and so on. So we have to avoid them. You are what you eat. So therefore, depending on the kinds of foods we eat, we will develop a consciousness accordingly. Or conversely, people will eat foods according to their consciousness. A person whose consciousness is in the mode of ignorance will eat foods that are in those modes. Then Krishna speaks about austerities in the three modes. There is austerity of the body, austerity of the mind, austerity of speech. So many wonderful things that Krishna speaks about. Then he speaks also about how the modes of nature can be used to understand sacrifice, determination, understanding, action, and so on and so forth. A beautiful analysis according to the three modes of material nature can be found in this. So this is such a wonderful concept. It would be so nice if our modern psychologists and other such professionals were to take benefit of the concepts that Krishna has given us in Bhagavad Gita to try to understand the world and to help people live a very, very pure life. So having analyzed this in the 17th chapter, actually the Bhagavad Gita ends at the end of the 17th chapter. The 18th chapter is basically a revision or a summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Just like the second chapter is a summary of the Gita, the 18th chapter is also a summary of the Gita, wherein Krishna is going to revise many of the concepts that he's discussed earlier.